गणेश शरणं शरणं गणेश
गणेश शरणं शरणं गणेश
शरणं गणेश
शरणं गणेश.
I will chant a shloka. You can repeat after me. वक्रतुंड महाकाय
वक्रतुंड महाकाय
सूर्यकोटि समप्रभ
सूर्यकोटि समप्रभ
निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव
निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव
सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा
सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा.
सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं
सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं
वरदे कामरूपिणी
वरदे कामरूपिणी
विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि
विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि
सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा
सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा.
गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः
गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः
गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः
गुरुदेवो महेश्वरः
गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म
गुरुदेव परं ब्रह्म
तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः.
तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः.
Karan, you can sit here. Okay, both of you can come here. Taraya, if you are comfortable, otherwise you can bring some chair from the hall. It's okay. Now we are settled. Invoking the grace of Lord Dakshinamurti, Gnanaganapati, Gnaneshwari, Narmadeshwara, Kalyana Subramanya Swami and Pujya Swamiji, we are starting a very well-known text, Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Gita means a song or that which is sung, teaching. Teaching of Bhagavan, the Lord, who is Srimad glorious. So the teaching of the glorious Lord is called Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And to understand the significance and the place of this Srimad Bhagavad Gita, we need to understand certain background topics. The culture in this country is popularly known as Indian culture. We call it Indian culture. The culture which is prevalent in India is called Indian culture. But really speaking, it is Vedic culture. Indian culture is really Vedic culture. Vedic culture, Vedika Samskriti, means the culture based on the teaching of Vedas. That is called Vedic culture. Now question is, what is this Vedas? Vedas are fundamental body of knowledge. Vidyate Jnayate Anena iti Vedaha. The body of knowledge by which one understands, one gets knowledge. These Vedas are considered to be the fundamental scriptures, Moola Shastrani. Why? Because they are not based upon any other scriptures. all other scriptures are based on Vedas. Therefore, Vedas are called Moola Shastrani, the fundamental scriptures. Now the question would be, who has composed, authored this Vedas? If I ask you, who has written this Hamlet, then you can say Shakespeare has written. Who has written Mahabharata? Veda Vyasa has written. Who has written Ramayana? Valmiki has written. You can answer. Amma, you may have to sit on the floor if you are okay. It's okay. Anyway, 10 minutes is gone. So, many popular titles, you know the author. Then question would be, who has written, authored Vedas? For that, our answer is, Vedas are not authored by any human being. Even though many people think that Veda Vyasa has written Vedas, because Veda Vyasa, no? So people think that Veda Vyasa has written Vedas. Vedas are not written by Veda Vyasa. Vedas were compiled. They were already there. They were compiled by Veda Vyasa. Like some folk music, folk songs, prevalent, available in the state, they are collected by somebody and put in the book form. It must be happening in Tamil Nadu that some songs were there. Nobody knows who has written, but they were compiled by someone and put in a book form. But still it might have been written by some group of people or somebody. We may not know. But here, Vedas are not authored by any human beings. Vedas are revealed by Ishvara to humanity. So they are called the books of revelation. Just as when you buy a particular gadget, you have a manual how to use that particular gadget. Similarly, the Lord, who is the creator of this world, has provided this humanity with this gadget, this particular manual called Vedas. So Vedas are given to humanity by the Lord in the beginning of creation. They were very much there in the atmosphere, but they were received by certain people of high purity, high tapas, and those people are called Rishayaha. So Rishis are those who have seen the mantras, not composed the mantras. Rishayaha mantra drashtaraha. They are the seers of the mantras. They are not the authors of the mantra. If he is not comfortable, you can sit at the back. Alright. So, Rishis are not the authors, but the seers of the mantras of Vedas, which were given by the Lord in the beginning. So, Vedas are not human creation, human composition. And Vedas are revealing that subject matter which cannot be figured out by human being independently. So what is written or presented in Vedas is something which cannot be figured out by Vedas, figured out by human beings. Therefore, Vedas are not scientific. Even though many of you must have heard Vedas are scientific. Vedas are not scientific. Scientific is that which can be proved by science, experimented by science, measured by science. That is called scientific. The subject matter of Vedas is not scientific. So many people, you must be very proud, so our Vedas are scientific. Better you know, Vedas are not scientific. Means what? What Vedas are revealing, that cannot be proved or disproved by science. Cannot be proved also, cannot be disproved by science. And therefore, Vedas are not scientific. They are independent means or source of knowledge. And these Vedas, which have been there with humanity since the beginning of this creation, these Vedas are divided into two parts based on the subject matter. You please put it on silence. No? And the first part of Vedas is called Karma Kanda or Veda Purva Bhaga. Purva Bhaga means the first part. The first part of Veda is called Veda Purva Bhaga, otherwise called Karma Kanda. Kanda means a part, a section dealing with action is called Karma Kanda. And it's a very huge part of Vedas. And by the way, these Vedas, based on the type of mantra, etc., the Vedas are divided into four types: Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, Atharva Veda. And all these four Vedas are divided into two parts: Veda Purva Bhaga and Vedantaha. Vedantaha means the end portion of Vedas. Veda Purva Bhaga means the first part of the Vedas. And the first part of Vedas called Veda Purva Bhaga, otherwise called Karma Kanda, is very important for humanity. How? What is the significance? The first significance is Veda Purva Bhaga make the animal man into man. Means when a human being is born, he or she is like animal, instinctual, going by instincts. Whatever comes in my mind, whatever I feel like doing, I do it. Child does that. Child doesn't consider that this is going on, that is not, should not be done, etc. No rules, no norms, no refinement. Whatever it feels like eating, it eats. Whatever feels like talking, making sound, makes. So kama bhakshanam is there. This licentious eating is there. Then kama vada is there. Whatever it feels like it talks. Kamacharaha, whatever he feels like doing, it does. So kama bhakshanam, kama vadanam, vadaha, and kamacharaha. Kama means as one wishes. So this is what animals do. So animals' life and human life are not different in the beginning. Vedas are making the person, human being, refined. From animal man, he is made to man. Means some refinement is brought about. Second thing is, these Vedas are providing the means for fulfilling the desires human beings have. The desire for security, artha. the desire for enjoyment, kama, desire for earning some invisible currency called punyam, so that my life after death also is good, dharma. For all this purpose, Vedas are providing the means. So Vedas provide the means to fulfill the desires in an appropriate manner, in a dharmic way, in ethical way. You can fulfill your desires. For that, Vedas are providing various rituals, various actions. So second significance is Vedas help the people to fulfill their desires in an ethical way, moral way, dharmic way. And Shastra also talks about certain activities as to be avoided. Shastra tells that certain activities may immediately give you some relief or some pleasure, but in long run they are going to harm you, and harm is more than that gain you had. Pain is more than gain, therefore it is not a good bargain. So certain activities are presented by Shastra as to be avoided. They are called nishiddha karma. Like killing someone, killing your enemy. So you got some anger and you feel like killing, and so you feel that if I kill the person, then I will have relief. Then Shastra says, don't kill. Unless you are the ruler, it is your duty to kill. Out of anger, just don't hurt anyone. So Shastra talks about certain things which are to be avoided. Nishiddha karma are to be avoided. And Shastra talks about certain duties to the immediate surrounding called family, your village, your country, and to the entire universe. And those activities are called vihita karma. Certain duties are prescribed. Shastra says, may you learn to be a contributor. Of course, you have certain desires for security, desire for pleasure, you fulfill. Nothing wrong in it. But you should not be only a consumer, you need to be a contributor as well. Pujya Swamiji used to highlight this idea that consumer everybody is. Everybody consumes so many things. Food, water, air, so many resources, infrastructure. All of us are consuming. In consuming, we don't have a choice, means as a human being to survive, we have to consume minimum things. But Shastra says, may you learn to be a contributor. It is little difficult because we find security and joy only in consuming. And therefore, Shastra draws our attention that there is a joy, there is benefit in sharing as well. Doing something for the totality, doing something for the people around, animals around, plant kingdom around. That is why Shastra talks about this Bhuta Yajna, serving the humanity, serving these animals and plants. Manushya Yajna, serving the human beings. So the significance of Vedas is Shastra, Vedas make us a contributor. Which Swamiji used to say very nicely. He says, when you become a contributor, then only you are a grown-up person. Otherwise you are a child only. So learn to be a contributor in whatever way. Everybody cannot give money. So money only is not the only thing you can give. You can give your time, you can give your care, you can give your knowledge. So learn to share. In fact, in our family also, we should give the samskara to the children. Therefore, in some families, when something is to be offered to Brahmana or somebody who is in need, they will make the child give it. Child is suggested, you give. So that samskara of giving comes. Otherwise, many people, those who have not learned, their fist is always closed. They cannot open. And because of that, they remain insecure throughout the life. Therefore, learn to give whatever you have. You don't have to borrow from someone to give. But if Bhagavan has given you some time, some knowledge, some resources, share. So Vedas help us to become contributor by prescribing certain activities called vihita karma. And Shastra, Vedas make us aware of what all you have received from natural resources. So express your gratitude to them. So Shastra make us grateful and contributor by prescribing certain activities. Not only that, this Veda purva bhaga only I am telling. This Veda purva bhaga also talks about certain values. Honesty, truthfulness, non-violence, straightforwardness. So Shastra prescribes certain values so that our life is in harmony with the totality. And also this Veda Purva Bhaga talks us about the attitude towards everything in our life. Attitude to the world in general, attitude to our action, attitude to our result of action, attitude to our parents, attitude to the teacher. So Vedas talk about that. And one important attitude Vedas talk about is reverential attitude. This is the beauty of this culture, Vedic culture, Vedas, that learn to respect everyone. Have reverence for the world. The world is not a source to be exploited. In economics they give the definition that this world is what? Is a source to be exploited. Whereas Vedas approach is what? The world is to be respected. And later on Vedas will explain that why the world deserves to be respected. But initially it just says give reverence to everything. Respect plants, respect water, respect the earth. So we need not be taught all these environmental classes. If person is exposed to Vedas, the reverence for everything will be there. And specifically, Vedas says, Matru Devo Bhava. May you treat your mother as God. Matru Devo Bhava. Mata Devaha Yasya. May you become the one for whom the mother is God. What a beautiful thing. The very definition of Mata in Sanskrit is Pujyate iti Mata. So Miyate Pujyate iti Mata. So one who deserves to be respected is mother. So Vedas say, may you treat your mother as God, Ishvara. See, nowadays we hear the stories. that many children, they leave their parents on the road and go away. Many children, they leave their mother or father in old age home. And they will say, I found this lady on the roadside, so out of compassion I brought her here. So that is because the people have not imbibed the attitude which has been talked about in Vedas. In our culture, old age home concept was not there at all. Old age home is not required. The parents will be taken care of by the children. But nowadays, the children have their own priorities. So, okay, sometimes it is a necessity, they are abroad and parents are okay, and therefore they decide to stay in a comfortable place, nothing. But some children, they put their parents in a free old age home where very minimum facilities will be there. All this because there is no proper attitude. So Shastras, Vedas are talking about attitude to mother, father, Pitru Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava. May you respect your teacher. This part slowly we are losing. In our country, in our culture, teachers were very much respected. Our one Swamiji here, Prashantanandji, he was telling once, he said, when my school teacher is passing by our house, my father used to get up. Even though my father is senior to that teacher, still he used to get up. For what? To give us samskara of respect to the teacher. What a beautiful culture. He said, my father, he will get up because he knows that we are there. So, by one's own example, parents used to teach. Nowadays they will go and fight with the teacher. That is not our culture. Reverence to the teachers. The school teacher, when we were small, we used to chant this Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu. Even in those days we used to teach. Nowadays if you teach that, then government will object. But that is our culture, where reverence for the teacher. Similarly, Atithi Devo Bhava. Some guest comes, you respect. Nowadays we have to be a little careful, but at least there is readiness to share. So, Veda Purva Bhaga is teaching even attitude. So now you can see that the first part of Vedas, called Veda Purva Bhaga, is making this animal man into a man, means man worth of his name, human being. It provides the means for fulfilling the desires called Kamya Karma, with the help of Kamya Karma, desire-based activities. It makes the person contributor. It also draws the attention to certain activities which may be looking pleasant immediately but harmful in long run. And it also teaches the values to be followed, and it also teaches the attitude. Thus, Veda Purva Bhaga is very important for religious life. In short, Veda Purva Bhaga teaches dharma, which is consisting of duties, attitude and values. Dharma has got three aspects: duties, attitude and values. The second part of the Vedas, which is called Vedanta, is talking about the true nature of yourself, the world and the Lord. Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara, Tattvam. So Vedanta is the last portion of Vedas, Vedasya Antaha, the last portion of Vedas, which is teaching, presenting, revealing the true nature of you, who you are. What is the truth of you? What is your true nature? What is the true nature of the world you are confronting, experiencing? And what is the true nature of the maker of this world? And this knowledge is given by this last portion of Vedas called Vedanta, otherwise called Upanishad. So Vedanta is another name for Upanishad. Vedanto Nama Upanishad Pramanam. That is a very popular statement. What does it mean? Vedanta is Upanishad, which is the source of knowledge. The knowledge of what? Knowledge of the truth of you, the individual, the world, and the Lord. Thus, Vedas have got two parts, Veda purva bhaga and Vedanta. And Veda purva bhaga is teaching dharma, which consists of duties, attitude and values. And Vedanta is teaching the knowledge of the truth of everything, everyone. And this Veda, which is having these two parts, two main subject matter. One is dharma, other is tattva jnanam, knowledge of truth. This Veda is having a particular style of communication, particular language, and therefore not accessible to everybody. Therefore, our great sages, they compose certain text based on the Vedas, and they are called smriti granthaha. Vedas are called shruti. Shruti means that which is heard, not composed by anyone, heard, received from the Guru and finally from the Lord. That is shruti. So Vedas are the books of revelation, whereas the smriti granthas are the books of recollection. So those great rishis, sages, those sages had already studied Veda purva bhaga and Vedanta. They had understood the teaching of Vedas, and based on the teaching of Vedas, they composed certain texts which are called smriti granthaha. They are the secondary body of knowledge. Vedas are primary body of knowledge, and the smriti granthas are secondary body of knowledge. Under the smriti granthas, we have got so many texts. 18 smritis are very popular. Manu smriti, Yajnavalkya smriti, this Vyasa smriti. There are so many smriti granthas which capture the Veda purva bhaga, and some of them capture the Vedanta, the last portion of Vedas. And one of the most popular smriti granthas is Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So Srimad Bhagavad Gita is smriti grantha, the text which is presenting the teaching of Vedas, Veda purva bhaga and Vedanta. That is why if people don't have access to Vedas, which are the original text, at least people can study this Srimad Bhagavad Gita, which captures the essence of the teaching of Vedas. Dharma and Tattva Jnanam, both of them are given in Bhagavad Gita. Acha, what is this Bhagavad Gita? Bhagavad Gita is containing the teaching given by the Lord Krishna to Arjuna. Bhagavad Gita is containing the dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, where Krishna gives the teaching, Arjuna receives the teaching. And this dialogue between Lord Krishna, I hope most of you know who is Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna is one of the incarnation of Vishnu, the Lord. And the Lord Krishna gave the teaching to Arjuna. That teaching is called Bhagavad Gita. Why is it called Bhagavad Gita? Because it is the teaching, Gita, teaching given by the glorious Lord. Therefore it is called Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Gita teaching, Bhagavad the Lord who is glorious. Alright. Now, this teaching, is it an independent book? No. This Bhagavad Gita is a part of a great text called Mahabharata. What is Mahabharata? Technically, Mahabharata is a book of history, Itihasa. In our culture, two texts are known as Itihasa. What are they? Mahabharata by Vedavyasa and Ramayana by Valmiki. Mahabharata has got about 100,000 verses. 1 lakh slokas are there. Very huge. So many volumes are there. And written by Vedavyasa. Another text is Ramayana. What is Mahabharata? Maha means great. Bharata means the narration of the story of Bharata's family. Mahabharata. One simple meaning is this. Mahabharata means the story of the kings who were born in the family of a great king called Bharata. And this story is very huge, therefore Maha. So Mahabharata means the great story of the family members of Bharata is called Mahabharata. And another one is Ramayanam. What is Ramayanam? Ayanam, simple meaning is biography. Ramayanam means biography of Rama. Life story of Rama is called Ramayana. Ramasya Ayanam Ramayanam. The biography of Rama, how Rama moved about. That narration is Ramayana, composed by Sri Valmiki. And this about 24,000 slokas are there. So Ramayana and Mahabharata are called Itihasa Grantha. And Bhagavad Gita is a part of Mahabharata. And this Bhagavad Gita teaching is having a particular background, which is also given in the text Bhagavad Gita. In which situation Bhagavan Sri Krishna had to give this teaching of Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. Because interestingly, this Bhagavad Gita teaching was given in the battlefield. So imagine, in the battlefield this teaching is given. So generally that is not a good place for teaching, For teaching we require a quiet place like this. Whereas this Bhagavad Gita was given in the battlefield, how come? What is the background? To understand that background, we have to understand some part of the story of Mahabharata, where it is said there was a king called Dhritarashtra. His children were called Kauravas. He had 100 children. And Dhritarashtra's brother, who also was a king earlier, his name was Pandu. And Pandu's children are called Pandavaha. There were 5 Pandavas. originally Pandu was the king because Dhritarashtra was blind. And therefore, even though Pandu was younger, he was made the king, and Dhritarashtra was simply staying in that palace. He was given very good facility, everything done well, but he did not have the eyes, therefore he was not made the king initially. But because of some turn of events, Pandu died in the forest. And therefore, even though it is not a good option, but still Dhritarashtra was made the king. And Pandus had got 5 children, and they came to the city where Dhritarashtra was there, Hastinapura, now present Delhi, with their mother Kunti. And they grew up, the Pandavas, 5 Pandavas and 100 Kauravas, they grew up together. But somehow these Kauravas had jealousy for Pandavas. Pandavas were very good dharmic people, good people, but somehow they were not liked by Kauravas because they had to share their glory with glory and resources Pandavas. Then nobody wants to share. Therefore some jealousy was there from the beginning itself. They had tried to even kill Bhima and other Pandavas. 5 Pandavas' name is Dhritarashtra, Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula, Sahadeva. So these 5 Pandavas. And Kauravas starting with Duryodhana. And after these 5 Pandavas grew up, they asked for the share of the kingdom. They were reluctant. Dhritarashtra, because of his attachment to his children, he was reluctant, but still he had to give out of social fear. Sometimes people have to divide the property even though person doesn't want, but out of social pressure also sometimes some little bit share they give. So similarly, Dhritarashtra gave that part of the kingdom which was useless, full of these bushes, nothing can be done. That type of useless part of the kingdom was given to Pandavas. And Pandavas said okay, they did not want to fight. So even that useless part, full of bushes and all, they made it a very beautiful place. Indraprastha it became, because they had blessings of some devatas and Krishna was supporting, and therefore they made a very beautiful place out of that so-called useless place. And they started prospering. That was not tolerated by the eldest son and all other brothers, Duryodhana and his brothers. Therefore, they tricked the Pandavas into playing this gambling. And in those days, there was a very funny convention that if Kshatriyas are asked to gamble, they cannot say no. For fight or gambling, they cannot say no. That was a convention. And moreover, Yudhishthira did not want to displease his uncle Dhritarashtra. He had so much respect that I don't want to have any fight with my cousins. They want to fight with me, but I would try to avoid. So he was trying, and therefore he went there. The Pandavas were invited to this Hastinapura, and they went there, and gambling started, and by manipulation the Kauravas won everything, took away everything. And finally, last stake was that if Pandavas win, then they can get back everything. And if they lose, then 12 years they have to be in the forest, 1 year they have to be incognito. Means they have to hide themselves for 1 year and should not be seen, should not be caught. If they are caught, again 12 years they have to go. So this Pandavas thought, my God, last chance. There's a gambling mentality. Those who know, they know. That gambler always feels what? Next game he will win. Next game he will win. Next game, and he loses everything. One gambler had told me, Swamiji, in my life, I kept gambling. I never won. But still I kept on playing and I lost my house, everything. That's what happens. The gambler's mind is like that. And therefore Yudhishthira also thought, see, I will get back everything. At least once my luck will support me. And therefore he played. That also he lost. Because already there was a fraud. So that particular dices were designed in such a way that it will favor Kauravas. Kauravas had their uncle Shakuni from Gandhara, Afghanistan, So he supported, and that's why Kaurava lost. So Kauravas went to the forest 12 years. 1 year they remain incognito. There's a big stories there. And when 1 year was completed, that time they came out. That also big stories are there. And then they asked, and it was decided that afterward they will get their kingdom back. After 13 years is there, they will get their kingdom back. So they asked, you please give us kingdom back. Duryodhana said, no. I have won by gambling, I will not give. So they tried, they said, you give even part of it. We don't want the whole thing, you just for the dharma's sake, you just give part of it. No. They sent Krishna as a messenger for avoidance of war, but all the means available to them were exhausted. In Shastra they say, Kshatriyaha Chaturupayaha. The Kshatriyas have got 4 means to handle the situations. One is called Sama. Sama means pacification. You just pacify other person, you try to give some sense that you please don't do wrong things, let us not have fight, let us remain in harmony. You talk about peace. That is called Sama, not Shama. Sama. Shanti. Pacification. If that doesn't work, you do Danam. Danam means what? You let go your major part and you say, you take bigger one, I will accept small one. I don't want to fight. I don't want to go to the court. So that is called Dana. Means you say that you take maximum, you give me very minimum. So that is second strategy, Danam. If that doesn't work, then diplomacy, Veda. You try to divide the opposite group so that this strength is weakened and fight can be avoided. Veda, diplomacy. And if these 3 means are adopted and they don't work, then you go for the last one, which is called Danda. Punishment. You have to give punishment. War, what you call war. So, Pandavas tried all 3 of them. They tried Shanti, they very peacefully talked about. They tried Danam, they said you take maximum, you give very minimum. He said you give 5 villages. Our Indraprastha has got so many villages, hundreds of them. You don't have to give all of them. You give 5 villages. No. He said you give 1 village with 5 houses. We are 5 Pandavas. No. He said you give at least 1 house for the dharma's sake. Because if we don't stop wrong thing, then it is not proper for us being Kshatriya. So it is for dharma's sake you give. He says no. I will not give the land equal to the knock of the needle. The end of the needle, that much land I will not give. You fight. You do whatever you want. I am not going to give. So Sama, Dana, they tried Veda also. They tried to divide. They tried to take out the Karna, a great supporter of Kauravas, from that company. Like, from their group. Like in politics they do, some members are taken away from opposite the ruling party and they form the government. It happens. Happening. The two factions are there. Similarly, they also tried. Because that is better than war. Because in war, people are going to die. Here, at least, people will not die. Only divided. That also did not work. And therefore, they had to go for war. That is why this Yuddha, which was faced by Pandavas, is called Dharma Yuddha. It was the fight for the protection of Dharma, because wrongdoers should not be allowed to continue doing wrong things. Then it will set a wrong example. The society, there will not be rule of law, rule of Dharma, and therefore it is the duty of the Kshatriya, the ruling class, that they should punish the wrongdoers. So it was a Dharma Yuddha. And Arjuna, who was one of the greatest warriors of that time, he was very clear about this, that this is the not fight for mere property, it is not fight for kingdom, it is the fight for the protection of Dharma. So when he enters into the battlefield, battle was already decided. It will happen in a place called Kurukshetra. Now also that place is there. You can go and see. And both the armies were arranged. And Arjuna is requesting Krishna, who happens to be his driver. Imagine, Bhagavan Sri Krishna, he was almost the king of Dwaraka. Arjuna was nothing. That time they did not have anything. But still, Bhagavan Sri Krishna became the driver. That shows that no role is big or small. People say, how can I do this? I will not do this. See, Bhagavan did. Bhagavan Sri Krishna happily accepted the role of a driver. And so Arjuna requested Bhagavan, please put the chariot between the two armies. I would like to see them. Like a batsman, no? Before starts batting, he will see the fielding. So he said, I want to see. So he said, I want to see. Even though he has seen, like batsman knows what are the players, but he wants to see the arrangement of fielding. So similarly, Arjuna requested. He was very enthusiastic. He is telling, let me see who are the supporters of Duryodhana. I will see them, I will punish them and all this. Means he was very enthusiastic. And Bhagavan Sri Krishna placed the chariot between the two armies in such a way that Arjuna will see his grandfather Bhishma Pitamaha, his guru Dronacharya. So Bhagavan Sri Krishna, as if he wanted this problem to be surfaced. So homeopathy, homeopathy they say that they view to take out the problem from your system, should not be suppressed. So Bhagavan Sri Krishna gave that homeopathy treatment to Arjuna. What? He put the chariot in front of the people to whom Arjuna was emotionally attached. The attachment was there. And he, instead of seeing those people as the warriors, Arjuna saw them as relatives. They are my relatives. When he entered, he was seeing them as the enemies or the warriors who are participating in this war. Now his outlook is changed. How is he looking? My grandfather, my teacher, my cousins. So the problem of raga, attachment, was surfaced. And this raga, attachment is there, then shoka is bound to happen. Shoka means grief. When attachment is there, then sorrow will happen. Attachment means what? Emotional dependence upon object, people and situation. Without this person, my life is zero. Without this object, my life is zero. How can I live without that? That type of mental frame, emotional dependence, is called attachment. And Arjuna had intense emotional dependence, attachment to his relatives. And when I have attachment to someone, not only separation will cause sorrow, even the thought of separation will cause sorrow. You can imagine, you can take. See, if you are attached to someone, then even the thought that this person is dying, that itself is shuddering. No, I don't want to think. Even for example, if I say, that suppose that person dies. No, Swami, don't talk like this. They will not come to the next class. If I give the example that suppose your spouse dies. I am not saying here. I am saying that because if I see also people say, Swami, you are looking at me only. So, even in example I should not say. Why? Because emotionally attached. So when you are emotionally attached to someone, not only separation, mere the thought of separation causes sorrow. And that is what happened to Arjuna. And the sorrow is directly proportional to the attachment a person has. More attachment is there, more sorrow will be there. You can see that. See, some relative died, you will have some sorrow. And somebody you are not at all attached. Suppose you are reading the newspaper in the morning and 20 people died in that particular Jammu Kashmir, in Amarnath. Okay. You continue to drink your coffee. Coffee you are drinking and reading the newspaper, no? So you continue to do that. Why? You are not attached to them. But somebody died, those who are of your village, and they were your neighbors. Oh, they died. Okay, 1 minute, 2 minutes, and afterwards, everybody has to go. You become philosopher also. Everybody has to go. Jo aayega, so jayega. So, one who has come will go. All these philosophy. Why? Because your attachment is not so much. But if somebody brings the news that there is an accident in New York, big accident, big fire. Oh, my son is there. Immediately you want to call your son and everything okay. Why? Attachment is there. Very thought of separation causes sorrow. So raga, attachment leads to sorrow. And when the problem of attachment and sorrow are there, your buddhi, your mind cannot think clearly. In fact, it thinks in a wrong manner. It is called moha. So raga means attachment, shoka, grief, and both of them leading to moha. Moha means what? Delusion, wrong thinking. What is right, you see it wrong. What is wrong, you see it as right. So Arjuna had this problem of raga, shoka and moha, and he understands that he is not able to solve this problem. Therefore he surrenders to Krishna, asks for the knowledge, and as a response to the request of Arjuna, Bhagavan gave the teaching which is called Srimad Bhagavad Gita. More about this you see in the next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.